unproven gap to Tybee Light. Across 2 centuries, the red and black have answered to a mighty call.
Gonna throw on a run, complete to the 25, to the 30, Lindsey Scott 35, 40, Lindsey Scott 45, 50, 45, 40, run, Lindsey, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5, Lindsey Scott, Lindsey Scott, Lindsey Scott.
But for most of the football century, they have known flashes of brilliance leavened by the darkness of disappointment.
It's good to be home.
But not anymore. The Dogs have circled back to the Rose Bowl, where they are undefeated, and the Bulldog Nation has risen up in glory. Now, live from Pasadena, it's Dogs and Roses at WTOC.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Ken Griner along with Jake Wallace as the Dogs, they're all set for the upcoming Rose Bowl as this year's team looks to become the second in program history to reach 13 wins.
Yeah, Georgia enters this game with the SEC title in tow. Oklahoma comes into the Rose Bowl, the Big 12 champs, after a victory over TCU.
All right, Dogs got to this point with a win in the SEC championship game, avenging their only loss this season to Auburn. There have only been 3 previous Georgia teams to record 12 wins. Vince Dooley's national championship team was 12-0. They still have a chance to better the 2002 team that finished at 13-1. The College Football Playoff Committee awarded the Dogs the number 3 spot after winning that game. Oklahoma got the number 2 spot following its win over TCU in the Big 12 championship.
Well, as Ken just said, the Sooners number 2 in those final college football playoff rankings, the Dogs number 3. Now, in all 3 number 2 versus number 3 matchups in playoff history, the 2 seed won convincingly. Can Georgia end that streak tonight?
So while Georgia does come in at 12-1, Oklahoma is 12-1 as well. The Sooners have won 8 in a row. 18 of their last 19 games going back to last year. Sooners won their 3rd straight Big 12 title with a 41-17 win over TCU.
So that's how we got to this point. Kickoff now just more than an hour away. That means it's time to check in with our crew in California as our team coverage continues from Pasadena. And for that, we turn to our Tim Guidera.
Well, Happy New Year, guys, and welcome to Pasadena, everybody. The University of Georgia has been waiting for this day for a month and for this opportunity for almost 4 decades. The chance to play for a national championship starts at the Rose Bowl, and what a matchup it is. Number 2 versus number 3, the nation's top-ranked offense against Georgia's 3rd-ranked defense, and these teams, very symbolic of the conferences they represent here today. Oklahoma plays with the flash and style that you expect to see in the Big 12. Georgia fast and physical with all the depth that comes in the SEC. And we're going to see that here on the field in just a minute. The first time in the history of these programs, these 2 historic teams have played each other, but they have gotten to know each other very well over the last month. The coaches studying every aspect of one another's teams, and they are just ready to get on the field and get this college football game started.
We have great respect for Oklahoma, the university, Coach Stoops, Coach Riley. They've got a tremendous program. I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for what they've done. It's been a place that has set a standard, not only in their conference, but in the country. So we're excited to get an opportunity to play a really good program in them.
Like every team, especially in a game with this magnitude, you try to balance, all the activities, having fun, not shortchanging our guys on that side of it, but also having great prep work and getting ready to play. Obviously, a great team in Georgia. So I feel like we've had a great week of practice. We're anxious and ready for the game to be here. It's been a long time coming, a lot of build-up, but I feel like our guys are excited, prepared, ready to play very well.
Well, when this game started, it was announced on December 3rd. It opened up with the Bulldogs a 3-point underdog. Within 2 hours, that was down to 1 point. And today, they go in as a 2.5-point favorite. So they are the betting favorite. And if you look around here in Pasadena in front of the Rose Bowl, it's starting to look like they might be the fan favorite inside. A lot of red and black in the crowd. I'm going to join Danielle, Lewan right now. There are a lot of excited Bulldogs out in this crowd.
That's right, Tim, and I don't have to tell anybody watching about them. I'm sure you can see and hear Guys, it's no secret that football in the South is a religion for many. We've run into fans who tell me that they've been doing this since they were in diapers. Some of them showing me pictures of heading to Georgia's campus, ringing that chapel bell as young toddlers. Now, that's not the case for all. Some were groomed into this excitement, and that is Jeff, not even from the state of Georgia, Jeff, from South Carolina.
Yes, ma'am, from South Carolina. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. And tell me, you said that your dad was actually a Georgia Tech fan?
My dad actually went to Georgia Tech, and his best friend from Jasper, Florida, told him that when he had a son one day, he was going to brainwash him into a Georgia fan, and he did that. His name's William Jackson, and I'm so glad he did. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. And you were telling me a story about Vince Dooley back in your day.
Yeah, back in the day, Vince Dooley, when he was the athletic director, Georgia was playing Clemson in Athens, and I was about 5 or 6 years old and was getting trampled into the night game, and, you know, next thing I know, Vince Dooley was escorting us to our seats, so that did it right there.
That sure did it. Definitely seems like you were brainwashed into this, but they've had a great time out here, all of these fans. Here are the game now, but at that Rose Parade earlier this morning, and that's when I joined WTOC, Amanda LaBrot, and to tell you more about that.
Yeah, we were both out there this morning, and it's a long day for a lot of those Dog fans, many of them heading here to the stadium right after being there on the parade route this morning, but they all say that they wouldn't have missed seeing that road parade in person. Take a look at some of this video, the details on these floats. Millions of flowers, animated animals as tall as buildings breathing, steam working water wheels, and they're all made out of organic material. Of course, with lots of Georgia fans in the stands, the crowd erupted when the Red Coat Band and the Georgia Float marched down that parade route. The Fisher family is from Savannah, and they say they were born Bulldogs, and this game gives them an opportunity to see the Rose Parade in person for the very first time.
Very exciting. We never thought Georgia would come to a Rose Bowl because in the past it wasn't a playoff game, so we really just jumped on the opportunity to come. I've wanted to go to the Rose Parade my whole life, so I cannot wait to see the floats up close.
They're excited for that parade, but the thing they're looking forward to the most, a Dogs win. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Amanda. The Rose Bowl Parade, one of the most elaborate productions of any parade. People work on those floats year-round.
Yes, they do. You know, the Rose Bowl is one of the oldest bowl games. It dates back to 1902, and that's why they call it the granddaddy of them all. It's been played continuously since 1916. Georgia and Georgia Tech, they both won Rose Bowl games. With each program included, this was an elite group, okay? They've won all 4 of the traditional 4 bowl games, that being the Rose, Sugar, Orange, and Cotton. So a lot of people forget Georgia Tech used to be in the SEC, and that was before the Big Ten and the Pac-10 matchup where they went to the Rose Bowl. So you got a lot of history coming up in this game for a lot of people.
Yeah, we'll stay with some history. At least one recent stat serving as a good omen for Georgia. Check it out. Since 1998, 7 Heisman Trophy winners have played top 10 scoring defenses in bowl games. The Heisman winner went 1-6 in those games. The Bulldogs hoping that trend stays true tonight as they take on Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield. He's going to try to be the exception.
All right, there are a lot of storylines heading into this first ever meeting between the Dogs and the Sooners, and we're going to take a look at many of them as we continue our pregame special.
Plus, we get a look at how fans here at home are taking in tonight's Rose Bowl.
From end zone.
Georgia fans have always traveled well, but this year, a great example. Notre Dame turned out to be what seemed like a Bulldog home game. That one was in South Bend, evident with a traditional third to fourth quarter celebration where the fans take the cell phones, and so a lot of Dog fans you
light
can tell.
up the night at Sanford Stadium. The same goes for the Rose Bowl. Georgia fans buying up a majority of the tickets for this 104th Rose Bowl. And as we found out when Georgia played Notre Dame earlier this year, Dog fans are more than willing to travel, and the Rose Bowl is not out of their limits. Thousands of fans clad in red and black expected at today's game. You saw many of them earlier. Georgia has bought up more than half the tickets available. With this being such a rare opportunity, it's no surprise Bulldog fans jumped at the chance to head west.
All right, our Tim Guider joining us now again live from Pasadena. Tim, some Dog fans are telling you this Rose Bowl is one to cross off their bucket list.
It absolutely is, guys, and really no matter what happens today, it has been a remarkable season for Georgia and for Georgia fans who have been with this team every step of the way, everywhere they've gone, starting in one iconic college football location, continuing today in another.
Before New Year's Day came to define Georgia's season, the date that stood out on the schedule was September 9th.
Going to Notre Dame was quite a privilege and an honor, too.
With the Bulldogs scheduled to play in South Bend in Week 2, many UGA fans plan to start the season with a lifetime experience. A bucket list trip to Notre Dame, and blanketed the Golden Dome in red.
I went to Notre Dame this year. We went to the Cubs game the night before, and there were so many Dogs fans there. They were calling the Dogs at Wrigley Field.
Notre Dame is such a great place anyway, and the people they're a class act. It's not like going to some of these other places where you catch a bunch of grief.
This week, many of those same fans, including Savannah's Charlie Russo, are filling a second bucket, following the Dogs to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl and the program's first appearance in the college football playoff.
It's been one of those years that everything's just been so exciting. Like, there's a different feel to this team, and then you bring us out here now, and it's not like we're nervous about anything. We're just happy to be here and, ready to go.
The way Georgia fans annex typically local college football outposts in South Bend and Knoxville, they are taking over Pasadena as well, with a clear majority of fans for the Rose Bowl.
We just knew that Georgia fans would show up. It's the first playoff game. It's a really important one. Win or lose, it's great to be here in year 2 for Kirby.
We've been traveling all year, so we would not miss this one.
The 2017 season has taken the Bulldogs back to the top of college football, and from one historic setting to another. And for the fans who have been with them all the way, it's hard to compare those experiences, but it sure is nice to be able to try.
And naturally, I thought that was when we were going to do the that game, but now all of a sudden this one comes along, and I'd never been to the Rose Bowl and that kind of thing, so this was just once in a lifetime thing. It's unbelievable, but it's once in a lifetime. I'm out here with a couple of my grandkids that go to Georgia, so yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, Georgia fans really have driven up demand for Rose Bowl tickets this year. In fact, this semifinal playoff ticket is the highest ticket price on the secondary market in the 4-year history of the college football playoff. Guys, that is about twice as much as they'll be asking on the street at the Sugar Bowl tonight.
All right, Tim, that's no surprise for the way Dog fans will spend their money. Also, we want to remind everybody at home watching the special tonight, we do have your countdown to kickoff clock up. Right now we're at 55:32, so you're not going to miss anything, okay? So we've got that clock going for you. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. And Ken, today with social media and cell phones, everything is captured on film. That wasn't the case the last time the Dogs were in Pasadena in the 40s. Much of what's left from that game, just legend and lore these days.
And we know who to go to. It was a different time back then, as the college game was a bigger deal than the professional game, and Hollywood was more tied in with the Rose Bowl. When teams would go out to Pasadena, there was a lot of interaction between the stars of the day and the players on the competing teams. It was all just part of the pageantry of the game. Georgia owner and Bulldog historian Sonny Seiler was only 10 years old when the Dogs last played in the game, and he knows the legend of a good friend and Savannah, Dick Richardson.
The team or the coaches selected him to have a celebrity date with Betty Grable, who came to some of the events, as did other celebrities. That's the way they used to entertain the teams out there. And he did, in fact, have a date with Betty Grable. He was not married at the time, I'm sure, but the stories got bigger and bigger.
You think? Willis Dick Richardson lettered on that 1942 Bulldog team, and he was in the Georgia Bar Association with Seiler. The Savannah High School graduate passed away back in 1999.
Well, in terms of this playoff, Georgia's the new kid on the block. Oklahoma's been to this point before in a losing effort. Baker Mayfield and the Sooners lost to Clemson in the Orange Bowl 2 seasons ago. Alabama and Clemson are basically playoff fixtures at this point. The Tide have appeared in all 4 college football playoffs, while the Tigers have reached the last 3. Luckily for Georgia, Kirby Smart has plenty of playoff and big-time bowl experience from his days at Alabama. That's what the Dogs are relying on this week in Pasadena.
It's definitely big, having someone that has experienced it. So, they say experience is the best teacher in life. So having that guy here and, everything he's been through and gone through, so he'll definitely prepare us for the best.
Smart experienced 2 college football playoffs with the Tide in 2015 and 2016. Alabama won a national championship over Clemson in Smart's final game there.
Okay, we've heard from the fans out in Pasadena, but what about those back home? This is a live look at the Tap House on Broughton Street where they're having a viewing party. When we come back, we'll check in with Romney Smith, who is there live and talking to the fans. Welcome back, everyone. We have established that Georgia fans travel well to their football games, including this one.
Yeah, Ken, as Kirby Smart has mentioned, the game is the main thing this week, but the Rose Bowl is one of those games that comes with possibly the most pageantry of any bowl game. Our Danielle Lewan has been in Pasadena since Thursday night, and she's been bringing a unique look at how the fans are spending their time. Danielle.
That's right, guys. Some fans got here a week before this game. They've been exploring California, taking in absolutely everything that they can. And I'm joined with a family who is from our very own St. Simon's. Guys, how excited are you to be here? Woohoo! Yeah, and I know that we are supporting the team as a whole, but I understand we got a really special player there on the field today. And who is that?
Jake Fromm.
Jake Fromm, of course. He's been leading us all season. And Mom, how much does it mean to you to sit here with your family and be able to experience this? Look around us right now.
Oh, this is just a trip of a lifetime. We're having an awesome time.
I love it. And that is the case for almost every single fan that I've spoken to out here. They are really taking this all in. And we thought that people might be exhausted after New Year's Eve last night. Absolutely not. People were at the stadium before the sun even rose today, and they're really excited to go in. Well, guys, I'm going to toss it back to you in the stadium.
All right, for those of us not making the trip to Pasadena, there are still plenty of places to watch the game here in our area.
Yeah, our Romney Smith is at one of them live at the Tap House as they begin their viewing party. Romney, what's the atmosphere like over there?
Well, people continue to walk in the door. I am seeing more and more people with red and black starting to come to the Tap House in downtown Savannah. Let me give you a look at what we're looking at right now. The tables are pretty much full on the first floor, but there's still room upstairs. But let me tell you, right now they're actually watching the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which of course is University of Central Florida and Auburn. So there's a lot of cheering for that game. However, a lot of these fans are still wearing some red and black, so I think they're going to stick around for a little bit. This is a great area. It's warm. The food and the drinks continue to flow. Again, there is an upstairs as well, so don't feel like if you see a lot of people here that you need to go somewhere else. There are plenty of venues in and around downtown Savannah, also in the suburbs, on the islands, up in Pooler. So keep in mind there are plenty of restaurants and bars open. If you don't feel like making food and watching the game, you still have plenty of time to go out there and entertain yourself and cheer on the Dogs. We are going to be out here for quite a while, and we expect the doors to stay open and for more and more people to come through the doors wearing red and black. I look forward to speaking with more fans. So far, everyone I've talked to says the Dogs are going to win. Now, I don't want to be impartial, but I am wearing red, and a little black. So I think you know who I'm rooting for, guys. We'll be back at 5 o'clock with even more from the people who are working today, who are also Dog fans, and the drama that they had to go through to be able to watch the game and work. Reporting live downtown in Savannah, Romney Smith, WTOC News.
I like that. Yeah. Got a red on today. Also, we want to update you on that game she referenced there. Central Florida right now, they are up 34-27 in that game. There is 2:40 left in the game, so the Knights are about to pull off a big one, it looks like.
Trying to finish the season as the only unbeaten team in FBS
That's
football.
right. And speaking of clocks, 47:30, that's how much we have till kickoff. Of course, that's just one of many venues that Romney was at around southeast Georgia and the low country of South Carolina. The fans will be able to watch the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl tonight.
Yeah, Ken, it's going to be interesting to see just who will be the standout players for tonight's games.
All right, when we come back, we'll check in with the man that was the MVP of the 1943 Rose Bowl, and they still call the best all-round athlete to play for Georgia, Charlie Trippi.
And here's a live look in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. The countdown to kickoff approaching 45 minutes. We'll be right back on our pre-bowl special right here on WTOC. Welcome back, everyone. We are less than an hour to kickoff from the second trip to the Rose Bowl for the Georgia Bulldogs. The first, a 9-0 Georgia victory.
All right, All-American and Heisman Trophy winner Frank Sinkwich was the player that the Bruins were most concerned with, but he was hobbling on 2 bad ankles, and it was sophomore Charlie Trippi who would have the big day playing in, get this, 58 minutes of the 60-minute game.
Georgia headed west on a train as the #2 team in the country, behind Ohio State. Trippi says they told a lot of jokes, played a lot of cards to pass the times on the rails out west.
We weren't able to do much being on a train. It was a repetition. We just couldn't wait to get to our destination.
Once in California, the players realized they were in a different world than the red clay hills of Athens. Back in the glory days of Hollywood, the stars of the day were part of the off-field festivities, including Bob Hope and Betty Grable, and that led to some star-struck Bulldogs.
That was quite an event, because you hear about a lot of those people and see them on the screen, and then here you are right with them, and that was a great thrill.
With Wally Butts as head coach, Georgia players had no problem getting back to focusing on why they were in Pasadena, to win the Rose Bowl.
You play for Coach Butts, you did it one way, his way. You never deviated from anything he ever wanted you to do. He was an outstanding coach.
Whatever Butts and the Dogs did to prepare for the game worked. The Dogs won 9-0, and Trippi would later be named the most valuable player of the 1943 Rose Bowl.
It wasn't the type of game where one team overwhelmed the other team. It was constant plugging.
With the Rose Bowl win, Georgia was now 2-0 in bowl games, the Orange and the Rose. Winning the game made the trip back to Athens seem a lot shorter.
It makes the trip a lot more pleasant.
Trippi was honored in Athens this year, and athletic director Greg McGarity has invited the Trippis to this year's Rose Bowl. One other note, the great-grandson of Frank Sinkwich will also be in Pasadena as a reserve offensive lineman for the Dogs.
So it's all coming full circle. You know, with the 11-1 record, the Dogs won the consensus national title. Trippi then left Georgia to go serve in the 4th Air Force in 1944 and half of 1945. Okay, here's your local nugget, okay? During his time playing service ball, Trippi played a game in Savannah's Municipal Stadium, now known as Grayson Stadium. So, got a tie-in here with Charlie Trippi right here in Savannah.
That's just what we do here at WTOC.
Yes, it is.
But part of the appeal of the Rose Bowl is the gorgeous scenery out there, and our Amanda LaBrot is one of the latest eyewitnesses to all the appeal. So, Amanda, does it live up to the hype?
I think it surpasses the hype, you guys. I mean, you know, everybody we've talked to said that they have talked to people who have been here before, and they were like, you got to get there early just to absorb everything that's going on here. I mean, take a look at some of this scenery that we have. We have, of course, this insane fan atmosphere. I don't think I've ever seen so many people so excited for a game. And then, of course, you're surrounded by these gorgeous California mountains. I mean, and the weather, hello, you couldn't get better than this. I know you guys are super cold there, but this is perfect tailgating weather. Lots of families, fans of all ages out here enjoying this, including some California fans. And a lot of that scenery for a lot of Dog fans was actually set in advance by a YouTube video. We caught up with a trumpeter who was playing in that video. He's living in California now, but he's a former Redcoat band member and still bleeds red and black.
Knox Summerhour is a Bulldog in exile, a former first-chair trumpet player with the Redcoat Band, now pursuing his dream of a career in music and film in the land of music and film, California.
Well, I moved out here 10 years ago, and, you know, with some money in the bank but not much else, that's kind of how people do it.
When the Dogs won the SEC championship, Knox recognized a unique opportunity to wave the red and black on the West Coast. So he produced a video whose theme is a reverent rendition of Glory, Glory, as arranged by 80s Redcoat saxophonist Jeff Simmons.
And I think he just had the idea to create a hymn-like version of the fight song. So if you notice, the melody is the same as the one they play after the touchdowns, but it's just slowed down, and it's very, very deep musically and complex.
The video went viral with over 400,000 views. But that's not what's most important to Knox.
The greatest thing to see is that it touched people. We're supposed to move people to feel a certain thing or to move them toward a certain direction emotionally. It isn't me. I was just a conduit to get the tune out there. What they're reflecting is their love for the Bulldog Nation and Georgia football, yes, but it goes deeper than that, because win or lose the game, we're still going to be there watching the games next year.
Craig Harney, WTOC News.
he's not the only California fan. Happy to have the Dogs back out west. I spoke with the San Diego UGA alumni chapter. They brought 1,000 people here to Pasadena to tailgate ahead of this game. Guys.
Truly is the Bulldog Nation, as they say, right? Hey, for fans that have been able to see the Georgia game in Athens, they are very familiar with the pregame routine. In the southwest corner of the stadium, a lone trumpeter just like that gets things started by playing. Well, they first started doing, no one knew where he was, so a couple of people were like, he's up there. Yeah. So now if you're at the game, everybody is pointing up, there's the lone trumpeter. So it's turned into be quite a tradition in Athens.
And after a few notes, we hear the immortal voice of play-by-play man Larry Munson and the video montage of Georgia greats, both from the past along with current players. Really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. Okay, when we come back, we'll check in with a few of our local players who are on the trip with the Dogs out in Pasadena. We've got our share of local players in Pasadena. Former Benedictine standout Miles McGinty with the travel squad to Pasadena. The Kennesaw State transfer senior at Georgia. Liberty County's Richard LeCount is Kirby Smart's first recruit. He played in 10 games for the Dog this season as a freshman, and four-star recruit Nate McBride has been a big player on special teams like this play against Florida, mainly on kickoff returns. The freshman out of Vidalia has played in all 13 games for the Dogs this season.
A couple other local Bulldogs on the Rose Bowl roster. Stetson Bennett, who played the part of Baker Mayfield for the scout team during this prep season. Also Michael Keene of Savannah Country Day, Alan Williams of Appling County, and Sean Fogarty of Benedictine.
All right, we now turn back to our Tim Guider. Tim, I understand you had a chance to catch up with some of our local players out on the roster for the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, sure did, Ken. It's the Coastal Empire on the other coast today with that large group of local players that you were talking about. You know, these guys all got to Athens in different ways and from different directions. Some were walk-ons, some prize recruits. They have different roles on the team. But this week, they are all enjoying one Rose Bowl experience and trying to take in as much as they can.
It's amazing. It's different. It's really an experience, a great experience. I'm loving it. I've never experienced anything like it.
Oh man, it's been exciting. I never predicted, us to be like this, but it's the best feeling I ever had. All my teammates in here, all the relationships I built since coming here in January. It's like, man, my first year of college, and this is what it came down to.
It's been awesome. We went to Disneyland the first day as a team. That was fun. And then we got some prime rib last night. That was super good, and exciting to be out here. The weather's a lot different. It's really hot, but it's been fun. It's been fun to be around everyone.
It's not Savannah hot, though.
It's not Savannah hot.
I really enjoyed Disney World or Disneyland. It was really nice. The improv comedy show was really nice too, but just being in the city has been awesome.
Whatever your role is on this team, like mine, whether it's scout team or catching touchdowns, I'm just glad to be out here. I'm glad to be a part of the team, so it's been fun.
What are you excited about come Monday?
Beating Oklahoma. We've been working for this all year. I mean, every game it's just been a stepping stone to get to this point, to have a chance to win a national championship. But we're just focused on, beating Oklahoma.
Oh man, I'm very excited. Also I think we're very prepared and we're ready to go. It's nothing else, we can do besides, go by the game plan and do what we got to do to win.
Well, another local here this week, of course, is Uga, the Georgia mascot from Savannah. He arrived a couple of days ago, 9 hours from the airport in Atlanta on a chartered plane out here to his hotel room in downtown Los Angeles. And it's been a little cramped for Uga. The poor guy doesn't have a lot of room to move around. There's not a lot of places where the Silers can take him out for a walk. So he's been laying low in his hotel room, saving his energy for today's game. And if Uga is here, Sonny Siler is here. In fact, it's the very first time Sonny Siler has been at the Rose Bowl.
When, we were shooting Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil out here, 2 or 3 times I decided late in the afternoon I'd just ride out there and take a look at it, but I never did. So, ironically, the first time I see it, I'm in it. I'm looking forward to it.
That's outstanding. Well, Uga was invited to participate in the Rose Parade today, but the Silers chose not to put him in it because it was going to take a lot out of him. They also couldn't guarantee that Charles Siler, who now is the Dog's handler, would be able to be on the float with him. So he came right to the stadium. In fact, he just passed by our location here just a few minutes ago. They want him 100% fresh for when it's time to run on the field at the Rose Bowl with the Bulldog players. Guys, back to you.
No problem ever having a seat in the St. Patrick's Day Parade with Charles and Uga. How does Uga get to L.A.? Well, he flies just like everyone else. As you see here, several dog fans got to share the plane ride to the Rose Bowl with the most famous dog in Georgia.
Well, Ken, if Georgia can win tonight, they won't have to fly to the Dogs' next destination. That would be the national championship game in Atlanta. The Dogs haven't won a national title since 1980 when Herschel Walker and the Dog defense led Georgia to a 17-10 win over Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. Now, one of us on set was there. The other wasn't born yet. We'll let you figure out which one is which. We, of course, had a lot of locals on that team. BC had 4. Bob and Steve Kelly, who both were on the kickoff recovery, Jim Blakewood and Chris McCarthy, Wayne County's Lindsey Scott, and Jeff Lott, just to name a few.
Just a great moment with Dad going to the Sugar Bowl. That would be me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see a second one, okay? Hey, it takes a few of the hotshot 5-star recruits to build a championship program, but sometimes even the walk-ons can make big contributions, like Savannah's Sean Fogarty, who our Tim Guider had just talked to. After signing with Savannah State in 2014, the Benedictine standout decided to walk on at Georgia. This year, he's got enough playing time to ladder, playing in 9 games, and now he's out in the Rose Bowl as a backup center for the Dogs.
Ken, the work and effort he put into this, it really was. It makes you proud because I know what he had to do most of it on his own. You know, he did it. Lord have mercy. I watched him in there taking a snap in the SEC game. He has a real great group of friends and a great community from all the way back from St. Peter's through BC. That just a lot of people that are pulling for him.
Now, Pat was a 1979 graduate of Benedictine, so he played with a lot of those guys that were from Savannah and BC that were on that 1980 national title team with Georgia.
Now, the matchup everyone's going to be watching tonight, that Oklahoma offense against the Georgia defense. Coming up after the break, Tim Guider has a look at the Dogs' veteran-laden D and how they plan to slow down the explosive Sooners.
You know, Oklahoma and Georgia have never met on the football field so far. Then that finally is going to change today.
Yeah, Ken, the Dogs and Sooners both have their storied histories with a ton of bowl success between them. The two programs have combined for 59 bowl victories in their history. Who's going to get the win today? That's the main point. The Dogs favorites as we approach kickoff in Pasadena. Of course, the key for Georgia today will be how they play on defense. And for more on that side of the ball, we turn to our Tim Guider back in Pasadena.
Well, guys, Georgia's defense obviously faces a major challenge today, trying to control Oklahoma's top-ranked offense and Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback, Baker Mayfield. But that Georgia defense has been spectacular all season. They play with a lot of speed, and they do a great job tackling. So that is going to be a big key today. Now, leading up to this game, there was a lot of talk about Oklahoma game planning specifically to stop Georgia All-American linebacker Roquan Smith, the Butkus Award winner. But it would be a mistake for the Sooners to concentrate solely on Smith because the Bulldogs have so many players on their defense who can make plays, including Lorenzo Carter, who has had a great senior season after a couple underachieving years in Athens. And if the Sooners are paying too much attention to Roquan Smith today, look for Lorenzo Carter to be making plays all over the field.
There are a lot of playmakers on the defense, a lot of good players, and it's tough. You really just have to pick your poison because there are players coming from all over the place, from the edges on the inside, and then we have secondary players that can make plays too.
Definitely, it can be definitely valuable. And some of the things the guy can create, like the matchups the guy can create is pretty insane. I definitely think should be probably some game plan for him as well.
Is it somewhere in the back of your mind that if they're concentrating all this attention on Roquan, it's going to create some opportunities for you?
Oh, yeah. I try not to I don't even think about that stuff too much. I just go out there and do my job, and then whatever happens, happens. The play's going to make itself.
Well, Kirby Smart, the old defensive back and defensive coordinator, understands and appreciates that Baker Mayfield is going to make plays today. They are not going to shut down Oklahoma all day long. They're going to accept that. The key, though, is when Oklahoma gets down close to the goal line. Guys, Georgia's red zone defense has been so much better today. If the Bulldogs can keep Oklahoma out of the end zone on those drives, that'll be a major accomplishment.
Thanks, Tim. As you can see in all those live shots out at the Rose Bowl, there are plenty of fans in California. We do have plenty here back at home getting ready to watch the big game tonight.
That's right. Once again, time to check in with our Romney Smith, who ventured out on this cold New Year's Day to catch up with a few of the Bulldog faithful. Romney?
Okay, so here's the thing, guys. We've been out here, and since the last time I spoke to you about 22 minutes ago, I have literally seen double the amount of Georgia fans walk in. Here's the other thing. Take a look behind me. You can clearly see more red and black filling up the Tap House in downtown Savannah, and that's because the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl ended, and all these fans were waiting for a table. Well, they have it now. Here's the other thing. When I was out and about talking to some people just waiting for their food and drinks, I actually discovered some Sooners fans. So this should be a pretty engaged game, pretty loud, I would imagine, because we do have fans from both teams here. So it should be good. Again, the game hasn't kicked off yet. We are waiting for it to kick off in less than 30 minutes. You still have time to come down to the Tap House. There are still plenty of seating up above, but I can tell you this, people are steady coming inside the door. It will fill up fast, but I'll have a report for you in less than 30 minutes. Reporting live downtown Savannah, Romney Smith, WTOC News.
Thanks, Romney. We are still counting it down to kickoff, almost 20 minutes away from the Rose Bowl game in Pasadena. Come back with us. We'll have plenty more from out west.
You know, if you ever get a chance to see a Georgia game, you know they can tailgate with the best of them, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, that's always a good thing. We're going to take a look at that in just a minute.
Yeah.
But first of all, we're going to talk about some of the coaches. You know, these coaches now, not only do they have a great base salary, but they've got a lot of incentive to keep on winning these games,
Yeah,
right?
many Georgia fans would tell you Kirby Smart has already earned his salary this year. The good news is for the Smart family, there could be even more money coming their way. Smart has already earned $1 million this year just in bonuses, and that could easily skyrocket. If the Dogs win today and reach the national title game, Smart receives a $600,000 bonus. If they win the championship, that bonus becomes worth $1 million. Tough to be Kirby.
All right, we come back. We're going to take a look with Kirby Smart, the man with all these bonuses, and how far he's come, Jake. Interesting thing in the SEC championship game. Dog fans made it like a home game. They just set up the tents and everything, and I'm sure they're doing the same thing out in Pasadena.
Yeah, I mean, our Danielle Lewan drew the short straw, has the toughest assignment of hanging out with the tailgaters today in Pasadena. She's there live now. What you got, Lewan?
Well, guys, it's not the short straw. I'm having a blast. I really want to show you the city of Pasadena. It's upside down, and that's because that's exactly what has happened to the city from these Bulldog fans. I really want to introduce you to Trent. I don't know if you guys remember Mike Big Dog Woods, and he has been doing this for years. Your grandfather has been doing this. You're taking over, and tell me, what does that mean to you?
It's such a blessing to be able to be a part of that for my family and to be able to carry it on. My father, I know he's in heaven right now watching down and cheering the Dogs on and give us that little extra thing that we need today.
I love it. And Mike, I really want you to show our viewers and on the camera your head. Wow, that is sweat-proof, sunscreen-proof. It's looking good, and I absolutely love it. Wow, can I get one of those?
Oh, most definitely.
Hey, my man, I got a blank slate here. Don't worry about her. What can you do about this?
Oh, no, that's perfect. We can put a UGA right there for you. We got you taken care of.
Tim, you're going to need a lot.
I got a better canvas up here.
A lot more help than that, Tim, but we're going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Danielle.
I like the rose, man.
I do
the rose
too.
Is great.
It's a nice touch. When Kirby Smart was hired at his alma mater, it was to get the Dogs into the national title picture. 2 years later, they're there. Kirby Smart's road to Athens was long, but it was one filled with success. Georgia's journey to Pasadena has been an exciting one, full of moments that won't soon be forgotten by Dog fans. Kirby Smart's path back to his alma mater is just as interesting. The son of a coach, Smart never planned on manning the sidelines himself until he got an offer from Georgia teammate Will Muschamp, then the defensive coordinator at Valdosta State, to join him after Smart played his final game as a Bulldog.
When he left the house, he was not going. And he called us after the game and he said, "I'm on my way to Valdosta." And so somewhere in that few days, he decided that's what he wanted to do, and then the rest happened. Smart spent 2 seasons at VSU before moving up in the coaching ranks, working at Florida State and Georgia as an assistant before linking up with Nick Saban.
The growth you get from working at a place like Alabama and with a program under Nick Saban it helps me immensely.
Smart spent 8 seasons under Saban's wing as the Alabama defensive coordinator, winning 4 national titles. Now the man in Athens, Smart has his Dogs 1 win from playing for their own national title. It hasn't come easy, but Smart knew this program could be in this spot.
That was probably the greatest challenge, was not accepting what had been done before as the norm and convincing the players that are currently on the team that we can do better. We can do better things and we can improve.
Dog fans certainly hope this playoff momentum will carry on for years to come. For Smart, that's the plan.
I'm very pleased with where we are, but we have not arrived. We've got other goals in mind.
Hi, welcome back to Pasadena. We are minutes away from kickoff of the 2018 Rose Bowl between Georgia and Oklahoma. Today, the 3 keys of this game might be the 3 C's, because Georgia is going to have to contain Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield. We've all been seeing highlights of him making plays all over the field. You might notice he's very often on the run out of the pocket. Georgia wants to keep him in the pocket, wants to get some pressure on him. They're also going to have to control the clock by holding onto the ball with some long, time-consuming drives. The more Georgia has the ball, the less Oklahoma's offense is on the field, the less pressure there will be on the Georgia defense. And Georgia's going to have to play a clean game today. They have been very effective all season except for 1 week. They went to Auburn. They made mistakes all day long. Their only loss of the season. So if the Bulldogs manage to play mistake-free football today, it could be quite a celebration when they're walking off the field in just a couple hours at the Rose Bowl. Well, everybody is getting into the stadium, getting situated. Want to join Amanda and Danielle again. Guys, it's been an amazing couple days out here. We've met so many Georgia fans. Everybody excited for what's going to happen now.
Absolutely. It's kind of unreal to see how much the crowd has actually thinned out, because I'm amazed you can fit that many people inside when the crowds here have just been insane, and so many Georgia fans here.
It's wonderful. What an amazing thing to be part of and to see, and we're so glad that we could share it with all of you.
All right, Georgia, Oklahoma coming up, the top of the hour, guys. Everybody's excited. We're going to send it back to you to wrap it up.
All right, as you see, we've got, what do we have, 11 minutes and 46 seconds till kickoff, so it's about time for us to go back and start watching the football game.
Yeah, toe going to meet leather in Pasadena in just a few minutes, and it's going to be fun. I know a lot of people around here and out west anticipating, hoping for a trip to Atlanta for the national championship next week.
Okay, for our entire crew behind the scenes and out in Pasadena, Jake Wallace, Ken Griner, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll be back here at 11 o'clock to wrap up the game. Meanwhile, come back with us as Dawn Baker and David Clue are about to step in.